Well, we're really excited to be at this point of the discipleship process with all of you. And so, what we wanted to give you now were some ideas and tips on how to begin to fill and build your group up. And for me, there's really two big ideas for how to fill your group. And the first one is this, is that if you've already come down this process and gone through this journey with us of learning about discipleship, obviously you already have desire, but I think desire is the biggest key. Do you want this? Do you want a group? Do you want to disciple others? And if you do, and you truly desire that, I believe God is going to place people in your path. And if it's something you really want, I think you'll have the courage to begin to talk to people and to foster those relationships. And then the second one is prayer. Those names of people that are in your mind that you've been thinking about, that you want to disciple and you want in your group, just begin to pray for them on a daily basis, maybe even twice a day. And I believe if you have those two things, both desire and you're praying, I believe that God is going to just naturally put people in your path to be in your group. Now, I'm kind of in a unique situation where I'm a pastor and people see me on stage at church, and throughout my life and the people I interact with, they know who I am and they know what my career is. And so it's really easy for me to invite people into a group like this because they know what I'm about. And so I'm actually going to turn this discussion over to Mike, because Mike is in a much different situation that I am, that he has to work at this and he has to meet people and get to know people in order to invite people into his group. And so, Mike, I'm going to just let you share from
Sure,
here.
and that is actually what's so exciting about it, is that once you have the desire to disciple, then God puts people in your life, and that's where things start to get really cool. And so, like Daniel said, and like we pointed out before, getting that list going, that's going to be real important. Those people that are on your mind, just start to put them down in a place where you can go to it every day. I like to stick it on a little sheet of paper that I have in my Bible, and then when I open my Bible, it's just automatic that I pray for those names. And so prayer is the number one ingredient in this, and that what you want to pray is very simple. It's just, God, let me get to know their needs, let me get to know their heart, and God, just open them up to my invitation to join this group. So that's how prayer works. The next thing I like to do is a little what I call pre-shepherding. And our role as disciple makers is to care for people spiritually. And so that shepherding role that Jesus passed on to his disciples and they passed on to us is what we're looking for. So with pre-shepherding, I'm taking those names in my list, and now I'm starting to think about where could I invest a little more time, just a little bit more effort into these people, build into them. What I love to do is just through casual conversation, find out what their challenges are, find out what they're up against, find out what frustrates them, find out things in their life that aren't going the way they want, and just get to know those things, and then you can put those into prayer and see that prayer in action. And on the flip side of that, I like to understand, what gives you joy, what gives you value, what do you like to do? And so as I get to know people that, start out as complete strangers, this is a really quick way to build friendship, and that bond of discipleship can start to grow right there. So in pre-shepherding, you are basically acting as if they are already in your group. So pre-shepherding, make sure you're doing that. The next thing while you're pre-shepherding is you're wanting to figure out their spiritual fatness, like we've talked about before. That's F for faithful, A for available, and T for teachable. You just want to be observing that. And so you can kind of go through your list, and sometimes, as hard as it is, I have to pull people off my list because I know they're not spiritually fat. And so make sure you're doing that. The next thing that I would be considering is really think through, how is this group going to benefit this person in some major way, in such a way that they don't want to miss out on it. And so I just kind of think through, all right, you run through it with what you've done in pre-shepherding, you run through those challenges, those frustrations, and you kind of think through, well, how could the support of a relational discipleship group really benefit this person? And then what I like to do with that is just kind of come up with kind of a custom invitation that's just tailored specifically to them, to where they're at in life. Relational discipleship is very flexible, so it can meet the needs of almost anybody. And so that's what you want to do there. I mean, an example for me, there's a guy I just met at work. He's back on the mountain. He's been gone for about 10 years. He's got one friend up here, and he's kind of related to me the frustration that he has in starting a career. And so him and I really relate on that level as we're trying to get going with ourselves professionally. And I'm just kind of thinking through my head, wow, something that I could custom tailor to him would be that friendship, that network of friends, of support on the mountain that he needs to build up, and that would be healthy for him. And so I will create an invitation that basically says, hey, I know you're looking for some high quality friends in your life, and I'm thinking of starting up a group pretty soon here, and I'm handpicking some guys that I think are really top quality guys, and I really want you to get to meet them. And what would you think about being in a group like that? And just begin in your head to create that invitation. And then the next thing you want to do is visualize it. Now this works great if you're outgoing or if you're shy, because what you can do is visualize in your head that casual environment that you're going to approach them in, that you're going to be with them in, and you'll want to talk about that exact invitation. Just say the words, just speak the words, and make that invitation so that it feels natural coming off your lips, and it will. So visualize it. That's super powerful. And the last thing, you just got to go for it. You have just got to make time to be with them, to find a few minutes of their day where it's uninterrupted, where you can talk about how the group works. One thing I like to do, and this depends on your relational proximity to the person, with this guy that I'm just starting to get to know and we're just barely starting to be friends, is I'm going to kind of talk up how the group works. I'm going to talk up my plans for the fall, and or for whatever season this happens to be. And being that we're at a new season, I like to talk about what's going on. And so then from there, I have a natural doorway to invite him into the group, and I'll use that custom invitation, and I just go for it, invite him, and then you see what happens. Now, the cool thing is, because I have prayed through it, I have assessed how spiritually fat they are, I have weighed the benefits for them, and then I have visualized actually doing it, that when I actually invite them, I'm sitting at 100% right now. So I'm batting 1,000. I'm not saying you will, but because you've done all of those things, there's a very high likelihood that you will fill up your group and be very successful at filling that group up.
Yeah, and I've had the same experience. And again, I realize my position plays into the relationships I have with people and when I invite someone into my group. But I have also never had a single person say no to the group. And so I think if you pray through it, you have that desire and you have that relationship. I think relationship is key. You don't like to be cold called for sales. You don't like to be called on the phone to buy something from someone you don't even know. You like to know the person whom you're doing business with, and we form relationships that way. Well, it works the same with discipleship. You're going to find so much more success if you've done this pre-shepherding of building up your relationship with them before you pop the question of asking them to be in your group. Now, I do want to ask you one thing, Mike.
Sure.
I know you said custom invitation, and I totally agree with that, because depending on the person, where they're at in life and how you know them, you're going to talk to them and approach them in a different way. But could you just give us like an example of what you might say to someone to invite them into the group?
Sure. I might say, there's another guy in the group that I might say something along the lines of, hey, I know you're struggling with being involved in church right now, but I know you're not giving up on church. And I know that you still believe that God uses the church and uses people powerfully in each other's lives. And I would just hate to see you miss out on that. And my recommendation for you would just be to join me this season. We're starting a group of guys. It's going to be pretty exclusive. I'm only picking a handful of guys. And if I don't know about you, but I just would love to see you there. Do you think you could see yourself in a group like that, where there's that kind of support and accountability and love and attention and then also care for this wound that you have?
Yeah, definitely. I've got a man that I'm getting ready to invite, and I just know him from Little League, from Bradley's baseball team. He's a stepdad of one of the kids on the team, and I'm going to invite him into my group. And I don't really know him on any other level than kind of a superficial level. We talked a lot during the season, but I'm just going to, and I don't even know where he stands with God and church and all that kind of stuff, but I'm just going to say, hey, I'm getting a group of buddies together, and we're gonna be looking into the Word together and just hanging out and getting to know each other and holding each other accountable. And you've been on my heart, and I just wanted to invite you. And I think what you'll find is that as you think through that custom invitation and you visualize it, whatever you say to them is going to work, because God is going to have prepared your heart. The other cool part is that if you're struggling to fill your group, we've talked about a group size from 5 to at the most 7, and really what you want is 5 to 6 people who are in the group, and you really want about 4 showing up on a weekly basis. So if you've got someone who's sick or out because their kids are sick, that's fine, because that number of 3 to 4 to 5 people showing up is just right. But so if you've got 3 or 4, but you're concerned that all of a sudden if 2 people are gone, you're not going to have enough people in your group, and you want to get to that 5, 6, or 7 number, we're going to be able to help you with that, because there are a ton of people at church that could benefit from this. And we have a list of names of people who are already interested, and we have the list of everyone in our church, and so we can totally help you fill that group. And so if that's something you need, just talk to us, and we'll help you fill up your group in that way. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think that covers it. You can go ahead and leave us a comment if you think of a question, and we'll get back to you as soon as we see that. And again, we're excited to see the groups that form already. Things are happening and moving, and Daniel and I are excited for our groups. So we're going to get out there and we're going to go get them. So we'll see you there.
Yep.